Hello students, here is Ashu Gupta, Assistant Professor. Again welcomes you all on the behalf of the Indraprasth Law College. Although we have already discussed about the basis of the international law in the previous lectures, but now in today's lecture we are going to discuss about the meaning and definition of the state in detail. So now let's open the today's box and start the slide. You may see the topic on the slide, that is what is state. Now you may see in the slide, in general, a subject of law is an entity to whom the law provides rights and assigns obligations. The requirements to be met for an entity to be considered a subject of international law are the ability to have rights and obligations under international law, and the capacity to enter into relations with other subjects and to stand before international courts. Basically, states are clearly subjects of international law since they fulfill all of these requirements. And if we talk about the state as a subject of international law, that means a state is the primary legal subject in international law, and a state fulfills the basic requirement for the entrance into the community of nations. It should be free from political control or political control of another state, and be free to enter into relations with other states. Now let's move on the next slide and see what is a state and what is the definition or the requirements of the state. So basically, if we talk about the requirements of the statehood, or the definition of the state, basically there is no exact definition of the term state in international law. That is not defined anywhere. However, in this law, the essential criteria for statehood are well settled, and according to Article 1 of Montevideo Convention on the Rights and Duties of the States in 1933, provides some qualifications regarding the state, such as you may see on the slide. Number 1, a permanent population. I think you may see on the slide. The first one is a permanent population. The second one is a defined territory. The third one is a government, and the last one is capacity to enter into relations with other states. And it should fulfill the enumerated qualifications which are regarded as the essential requirements or characteristics of statehood. However, these requirements are not exhaustive, and other requirements may be relevant, including sovereignty, independence, self-determination, and recognition also. But these requirements are considered in correlation of the essential requirements. So let's talk about what is the meaning of the permanent population. You already know about the population, what is the means of the population. In terms of international law, we may note down that a permanent population means that the existence of a permanent population basically is naturally required as an essential evidence of the existence of the state, and this requirement suggests a stable community. That's why evidently it is important, since in the absence of the physical basis for an organized community, so it will be difficult to establish the existence of a state. And the size of the population is not relevant since international law does not specify the minimum number of the inhabitants as a requirement of statehood. And nevertheless, an acceptable minimum number of inhabitants is required with regard to self-determination criteria. So basically these are the basic parts of a permanent population which covers into the international law as a subject matter of a state. And then the second part is a defined territory, wherein the requirement of a permanent population is intended to be used in association with that of territory. And what is required by a defined territory is that there must be a certain portion of land inhabited by a stable community. So that's why a defined territory does not suggest that the territory must be fixed and the boundaries be settled, since these are not essential to the existence of a state, although in fact all modern states are contained within territorial limits or boundaries. Past practice shows that the existence of fully defined boundaries is not required, and that what matters is the existence of an effective political authority having control over a particular portion of land. So the existence of a particular territory over which a political authority operates is essential for the existence of a state, and the size of territory of a state and alteration of its extent do not change the identity of that state. So a state continues to exist as long as portion of land is retained. Then the third one is a government. Already we know that for a stable community to function reasonably effectively, it needs some sort of political organization. So it is required that an effective government be created, and this political authority must be strong enough to assert itself throughout the territory of the state without a foreign assistance. And the existence of an effective government assures the internal stability of the state and of its ability to fulfill its international organization. So that is also a important part and the essential elements to become a state or to get the statehood on the level of international law. And the next one is a capacity to enter into a relations with other states. Basically without having a capacity, no one can exist in person or in international law also. So the capacity to enter into a relations with other states is an attribute of the existence of an international legal personality. A state must have recognized capacity to maintain external relations with other states. So such capacity is essential for a sovereign state, and lack of such capacity will avert the entity from being an independent state. And capacity distinguishes states from lesser entities such as members of federation, which do not manage their own foreign affairs and are not recognized by the other state as full members of the international community. And as accept these basic essential requirements, there is some other requirements like already we have talked about that is independence, sovereignty, and self-determination or the recognition. These are also the major parts of the for the state to become to having a statehood. So hope you will have been enjoyed the whole session and successfully enumerated it into your study and be benefited from this presentation. Thank you. We will meet soon again with a next presentation. Thank you very much.